Alright, what is going on, GDQ staff? My name is Dave Stereo, and today I'm going to be taking you through my SGDQ 2020 submission for Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair. So without further ado, let's get going. Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair is the second game made by Playtonic Games, which consists of some original members from the original Rare team that worked on Banjo-Kazooie and Donkey Kong Country. The first installment of the Yooka-Laylee franchise was a 3D platformer, and this game is actually a 2D platformer, much akin to the Donkey Kong Country series. The game is very fortunate to have an auto text skip button, so you can frame perfectly advanced text just by holding down a button. And much like the Donkey Kong Country games, the main movement consists of rolling and jumping. I also have the ability to do this ground pound, which if you jump and roll out of the ground pound, it gives you super speed. Additionally, there is a hover move, much like Dixie's hair, that allows you to float in the Donkey Kong Country series. It only lasts a certain amount of time, though. It's not like you can just sustain it forever. This is where we will be introduced to the bee shield. That this will allow us to take damage and, not die from it. Setting up the premise for something that will be more relevant later in the run. But for now, it's just telling you, hey, the shield makes you invincible. This is Capital B. He's the main antagonist of the series. He's on a quest to steal all the bees. He's got this hive mind that allows him to take control of all the bees. The music in this game also features songs from David Wise and Grant Kirkhope, our original Rare devs as well. Alrighty, so this is the Impossible Lair that we are entering here. It is the first and last level of the game. Now, much like Breath of the Wild, you can actually return to it at any time to complete the game. But since this is the 24 bees category, we are going to be taking a death right out the gate so that we can go to the world map and start collecting bees from the overworld and the levels. So the 80% run would finish out the Impossible Lair there, but it requires you to do just about 20 minutes straight of damageless gameplay. Now, isn't the most marathon-friendly or the best starting category for the run. So the community actually made this 24 bees category the main category to give people a nice gap in between the monotonous any percent and then a full game completion category, which would be like 48 bees. So that they chopped it down right in the middle and made it 24 bees. And the routing for this is actually really crazy because you can get a bee for every level that you complete, and there's 2 versions of each level. And then there's also overworld bees that you can grab. So coupled with all the sequence breaking that you can do on the map, it's really crazy. The routing gets really, really cool. And yeah, this is the first level. Okay, you're gonna see me utilize ground pound jump rolling. I do apologize for the frame rate on this video. I don't know why it's as crazy as it is. But yeah, pretty much you just want to ground pound and jump roll, not be interrupted by anything. So those coins, we would normally collect those to open up sections of the world map. But, we're just going to sequence break through everything and skip all the need to open up any of the paywalls, as they're called. A nice ground pound jump roll to clear that little lake there. And remember this snail. We're gonna grab its shell. We're gonna kill it really fast and grab its shell. And it's actually gonna allow us to end the level early, because the way you end the levels is you have to break the bee free of, you know, the hive that it's in. And you can actually do it by shooting projectiles into it. So it allows us to save a couple seconds. So right here, and shoot. There we go. That's level 1. So, for all the bees that you save, these tents will form, which allow you to kind of traverse better in this area. You get some access to, you know, some other areas and pathways as you get more bees. But, you know, luckily for us, we can actually use this box, and if we're standing on the book, we're able to get enough height to jump on there and then jump on the fence posts. Then we use the fence posts to sequence break into the Chapter 2 area. But we're not going to go to Chapter 2. We're actually going to go to the Chapter 17 area. You need to ground pound at a very specific seam on this so that you can roll up and then hopefully land on the fence post. Then we're going to be doing a lot of out-of-bounds movement here, where if I fall too far to the right, you can actually get soft-locked. You can fast travel out, but you will be stuck there or forced to fast travel out. And we're going to jump behind this loading zone, which allows us to clip out in another area. And we're going to navigate the seam. We have to do this very specifically so we don't fall into the water preemptively, because we need to do that later over here. So we fall into the water here, and then there's another body of water below us that we need to enter. So we're looking for that. There we go, we got it. And now we need to navigate very particularly, because there's about 1 million places where you can fall out of bounds here and void out. You know, you'll just fall forever. Additionally, you're always trying to rise towards the surface. So if I enter the wrong areas, I can actually get in a soft lock state where I've risen up and I can't fall back down to where I need to go. Yeah. I said we were going to the Chapter 17 area. No, we're actually going to go to the Chapter 10 area. And this is skipping the one paywall that we used to have to get. But the problem is I'm a little too low right now, so I do need to rise up in order to hit this loading zone. But you can also continually rise up infinitely and just, you know, go into the sky. But luckily we were able to get into that loading zone there. Also, we're going to sequence break this little puzzle to alternate, or to open the alternate version of this chapter. We're going to swing this and then roll off and get out of bounds. The alternate version of this level is unlocked by being able to swing this platform. And the alternate version of this chapter is actually really fast. So that was one of the hardest tricks in the game that we just did. And we're actually going to be doing the hardest trick in the game right here. And I'm actually going to show you all ways that you can fail this. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to change the refresh rate, or turn on the VSync so that we lower the frame rate, which makes this easier to do. But what we're going to do is we're going to do a rope zip, where we're going to try to intersect this rope at the top just as it's reached the peak. And there we go. We got too much speed, and I went too far out of bounds. I'm trying to land in a body of water. Luckily, you just have the ability to restart the level and repeat the trick. But yeah, the speed at which you get launched by this rope is different every time. So you need to really adjust quickly to try to land where you want to land. And then getting the zip is actually very particular. I was surprised that I was able to get it on that first try. So you need to time a neutral jump. You can't be holding anything on the D-pad when you're trying to jump to get zipped. And then it also is based on the particular timing of the rope. There we go, second try. Not bad. Not bad at all. Yeah, this is an air swim where, since we entered a body of water out of bounds, we're actually able to exit the body of water horizontally instead of, you know, surfacing at the top. And that keeps us in the swimming state. So we're just going to use that to swim all the way to the end of the level. And just like that, we've completed our second air swim. There's actually only 3 in the run, you know, based on the overworld, out of bounds swimming, this air swim, and then there's another one that's actually a lot easier to pull off later in the run. Yeah, so now we're gonna wait for this bridge to stop so that we can enter the first version of Chapter 10. It's a much easier stage. In all stages with the music, it's a remix of itself. So it's really cool to, you know, like, the music is affected based on, like, how the level is different. Hey, you saw that I switched back to, or VSync off there. Just makes the game run a little bit smoother, even though the, frame rate of this video is a little choppy, which again, I do apologize for. The way this game loads in enemies and the obstacles is based on proximity. So you're not looking for like any sort of global cycles, but it's based on however you load them in. When jumping on enemies, you can get a double boost from it if you time a jump right when you bounce off of them. With that, Chapter 10-1 is complete. So now that we've got our third B, we're actually going to be traversing to our first overworld B. It's just in this secret room over here. And that's why I really like the routing of this game, because you can grab all of the overworld Bs pretty quickly by sequence breaking, and then it just becomes a matter of which levels are the fastest and how easy is it to unlock them. And 24 Bs is a really cool beginner route because it's like, if one B is too hard, or, you know, like in Super Mario Odyssey, if one moon is too hard, you have so many other options to, you know, just get another one. We're going to be skipping over Chapter 9 here. Unfortunately, that's a little bit too slow. But we are going to be using this box over here to help us clip out of bounds. Now we can roll up this plane and then clip out of bounds here to get to this overworld B. We're also going to be doing one of the coolest out of bounds in the game right here, which is actually very simple. I'm surprised at how simple it is to get this out of bounds. You just got to roll up this plane. Now you're on some ceiling. Alright, this jump is actually very, very precise. So I'm lining up here. Yeah, I made that jump look way easier than it actually is. Okay, so we're going to sequence break over here, get this overworld B. If you do fail it, you can back it up and get back up out of bounds, but it was very nice that we got it first try. We're also going to do another early out of bounds here sort of thing, where I'm going to get on this fence post and then hit a switch that unlocks the alternate version of this chapter below us. I believe this is Chapter 14. Maybe this is chapter 11. I think it's chapter 11. Yeah, normally that switch wouldn't be accessible. And we're also skipping the bridge puzzle here, just by walking down there. But yeah, normally you have to do something on the overworld that knocks that switch down, but conveniently still placed up there after our sequence break. The music on this level is absolutely insane. It is also very difficult because there are these crab monsters everywhere, and the hitboxes on them are insane. You have to hit them directly on the top of their heads. Yeah, music in this game is so good. Alright, so if you take damage, your partner Laylee will actually fly away. And much like a Donkey Kong barrel, you ring a bell here to get the partner back. But there is a recovery mechanic where you can actually grab Laylee while she's trying to fly away. So it becomes a cool metagame where it's like, alright, do I risk going for Laylee and potentially just dying again, or do I continue and wait for a barrel? I also grabbed this bomb early on, and this is going to help me end the level quite a bit faster when we get to the end. So normally there's supposed to be a homing rocket that shoots the bee. And you have to wait for this first one to explode and then bait a second one. But if you carry the bomb all the way, you can just end the level when you reach the end. Yeah, that was chapter 14. Not gonna be doing 14-1. Is a little bit too long. So we're gonna fast travel back to chapter 2 and then sequence break into the chapter 17 area again. Again, navigating very specifically out of bounds. Plenty of invisible walls that you can bonk on. And there we go. Normally you have to do a whole thing here where you raise a bunch of docks in order to access this 17 area, but nope, we don't gotta. This level really reminds me of Donkey Kong Country 2 with all of the barrels. Or just Donkey Kong Country in general. Gonna be preserving super speed to try to skip every single barrel that we can. Nice little ground pound jump roll to skip those 2 barrels. And here I'm going to be going for a pretty difficult strat, which unfortunately I am going to die to. So barrels are weird. You can go in the 4 cardinal directions, but and it'll snap you to the 4 cardinal directions, but there seems to be some variance with the way angles work, because you can get an angle shot into this 3rd barrel. Luckily I recovered Laylee there, but yeah, you can do that without taking damage. Nice little cycle skip there by doing an angle shot. And taking damage there doesn't matter because the end of the level is right here. One thing about taking damage that I should note is that if you don't have Laylee, you can't do your charge roll to go faster. You can't ground pound to do the ground pound jump roll. And you cannot hover in the air, so you definitely want to maximize keeping Laylee as long as you can. Alright, we're gonna do a nice little easy out of bounds here. Use the book to get on this fence post and talk to the frog here. Talking to this frog will allow us to unlock the alternate version of chapter 1. Alright, this bomb, we are actually going to keep it with us. I'll bring it all the way over here. This fire bomb is going to burn this bush here, so we can get the regular bomb. The regular bomb will allow us to break this sandcastle which will unlock chapter 15? Yeah, that is chapter 15. But for now, we're going to go into chapter 16. These are cycles that you do have to wait for. Yeah, very nice simple level here, just trying to avoid all the places that you can take damage on these fire cycles. A lot of them it seems like you will be able to make, but if you commit to it, you will actually take damage, so you need to dodge them. Nice little rope skip there. One level is short and sweet. This is the final room. Alrighty, and so normally for some of the overworld bees, it requires you to find a secret exit within the level. We're actually going to skip the secret exit of this level by using this bomb standing on the bridge and using the bridge to fling us up here. That's a little quick way to grab that bee. And of course, every little bee cutscene is a nice place to explain something about the game or for donations or whatever. Alright, chapter 16-2. This chapter is actually really sick. I'm gonna be going for a very tight cycle right out the gate. If there's any falter in your movement, you can't make this cycle. I would also say these springs that I'm jumping off of, you can get two different heights off of them, whether or not you time a jump right when you hit the spring. Also, while you're swimming, you can press square to dash. It allows you to break through objects. You know, much like they do in Banjo-Kazooie games, whenever you go underwater, the sound of the level changes. You know, all the instrumentation. Very nice touch. Nice little tight cycles you can make here. You cannot make that next one, actually, so you do have to sit here, but nice when you get the first one. So we're going to be spawning like these leaf platforms, and there is actually a way that you can kind of use them to get some up warps based on the way they come down and then they bounce. This puzzle, you pretty much need to just pull the lever that has the smiley face and not the frowny face. Yeah, getting some nice like up warping. And there we go. Alright, so this next chapter is actually one of my favorites in the entire run. So that sandcastle that we blew up to reveal the book, the alternate version of that level appears whenever the tide is over the book, and it makes it a water level. We're gonna use that water in order to airswim and to skip the entire level. Also, if you pay attention to the bottom left corner of the screen, you will find a DJ Banana. Nice little Easter egg. But alright, so right out the gate here, we're gonna ground pound jump roll and get out of bounds. And then we're gonna enter this water from the horizontal plane and exit. Allows us to air swim and enjoy the best song in the game. It's seriously my favorite song in the game. Just like that, level's over. They cry at the end of every level because we're skipping all the coins. Alright, so after B12, we're gonna be going and getting another overworld B here. Gonna just be doing a nice skip here by timing a specific roll. Jumping this gap. Actually pretty precise. There we go, second try. I'm gonna fast travel back to chapter 1 because we are going to unlock the alternate version. Here's the frog again. And he pulls the town out of the book, which leaves it in utter chaos. Which actually, yeah, this alternate version is called Capital Causeway Chaos. I'll see, the entire town is destroyed now, and there's water everywhere. I'm gonna be using ground pound jump rolls to skip a underwater section here. We do that here, and then we get over this. Very nice. Opting to go back for Laylee here because there isn't a Laylee bell for quite a while, actually. And you wouldn't be able to ground pound through that stone, and you just have to wait. Takes a couple seconds for each stone to break if you don't have ground pound. There's the Laylee bell, if we had to grab it. But this water here, it actually gives you extra momentum if you roll with it. Kind of like a conveyor belt. That chapter 1-2 is done. So logically, I mean, we've been doing this whole game out of order already, but you know, you'd think we'd go to chapter 2 because it's right there, but chapter 2 is a little slow, so we're actually gonna glitch into the chapter 4 area. We're gonna do this by getting on a very specific seam and then trying to get into this top fence post area. I'm going for a setup here. It's pretty much a YOLO setup, and yeah, it is actually pretty precise to try to get your roll on it. I'm most likely just gonna, you know, take my time here and get onto the seam. Yeah, so do that. Yeah, sometimes it's best to just take your time in a speedrun. Yeah, so we're going down into the chapter 4 area here instead of the chapter 3 area because we want to do 4 first, and then we need to sequence break into 3, and then 3 allows us to sequence break into 5, and later on into the run. So yeah, it makes routing sense to do chapter 4 first. Love this song also. actually, up to this point, when you get to chapter 4, casually, you still don't know about alternate versions of chapters. You're not supposed to know about them, but we will be learning about them after this. I have to not take or grab Laylee there to risk dying because there is actually a Laylee bell right here. This cycle is pretty particular. You got to be ready for it, and we made it. Hey, shouts out to Dave. So yeah, right here is the tutorial on the alternate versions of levels. They're gonna teach us that we can actually freeze the book and, you know, make it an entire ice level. Also, that little tonic you see there in the left is a game modifier. All the categories of this game are done with no tonics. You know, some of them are just visual changes to the game, but some of them actually apply changes to the character. Which I do have a tonic showcase prepped as a incentive, where we can display a lot of the wacky graphical stuff. You know, you can change the aspect ratio of the game, make it look like a retro game. And then some of the gameplay modifiers, like you can actually crank the game speed. But as you can see here, we get this nice little ice tune. Everything's frozen. No more fountains. Okay, that little ceiling there is kind of weird. I think it's stuck on it. So yeah, all those quills you see me grab, they're actually not required for this run anymore. Sometimes they're used to unlock things on the overworld, but you know, the main use of them is actually to activate the tonics that you grab. And so now that we got B16, it's just gonna reveal the fire bush if we want to change the level back to its normal state. And also, there's a pagey in the up right corner, which normally in the game you're supposed to use those so that you can change the land around you. It allows you to access other parts of the overworld, but since we just sequence break everything, we don't need to. We're gonna go back to chapter 1 so that we can glitch into chapter 3. And actually, the next part of this is actually really nice because normally you're supposed to do a pagey stage in order to lower the area that chapter 3 is on. But since it is still raised, we can actually navigate along particular fence posts after I get the skip, and we can unlock the alternate version of chapter 3 much earlier than intended. Yeah, right here, we're gonna navigate on this fence post. We're not supposed to be at this height, but we can grab this bomb bush and then just bomb the switch right there. Yeah, you see the pagey right below us that's used to kind of lower this whole area, but yeah, the fact that we keep it up there, it's very nice. Okay, this level kind of introduces these spiders. They will drop down when they are in close proximity to you. And also with ropes, you do get super speed from jumping off of them. You know, not just when you're rope zipping, but... Alright, Chapter 3-1 is done. And the alternate version of Chapter 3 is going to pretty much just give way more enemies. I mean, the pathing of the level does change, but there's going to be a lot more enemies that we have to deal with. As you can see. Luckily, we can just outrun the enemies. So this is one of the areas where we're gonna use rope speed to our advantage and hopefully not fall in a pit. Yeah, maintaining your speed and then hitting those platforms very particularly is pretty difficult. Alright, so now that we are still raised up here, you're actually gonna see the octopus glitch here and kind of gonna walk on air. But, you know, another fact of us having the ground raised still, we can actually use the switch to jump onto that green area up there, which will allow us to skip to the Chapter 5 area. And I'm gonna go for what's called the God Shot here. Instead of taking the secret exit, I'm gonna do that. Very precisely shoot that bomb over there to get the overworld bee. There is a backup that you can do with the other bomb bush right below us, but it's really cool when you get it on the first shot. Alright, Chapter 5. This is honestly one of my favorite levels in the game also. Just all of the platforming is so tight. If you go for like the insane strats, there's some death floors in the interior areas, and yeah, it's just a very risky level, very flashy, looks really nice. Yeah, hitting the green goo will cause you to instantly die. Also gonna be grabbing this guy here. We have to wait out the elevator cycle anyways, but this will allow us to end the level like a second early. Oh, accidental boop there. Sends me into a spider, but we got Laylee back, it's fine. Also, one thing you can do is you can just get a checkpoint, like there's one coming up right here, and then you can instantly take a death if you wanted. You know, it only takes a couple seconds and you get Laylee back. Nice little ground pound jump roll here to skip over the spider instead of waiting for it. Even though the frame rate's choppy, you know, at least the music isn't interrupted. This one's really risky. There we go, nice and easy. And then here's where we save the second. We're carrying this fruit with us the entire way. Just like that. Alright, so we're gonna be going for something pretty difficult here. This game actually does have bomb jumping, where it pretty much allows you to get more height. You know, we don't get distance out of it, we just get height. So you need to listen for specific beeps. I'm too close to the fence here. Yeah, a little bit too close, so I actually get bounced back instead of going on top of it. There we go. Nice and easy. Now we've glitched into the Chapter 8 area. Yeah, we skipped 6 and 7, which is in a interior forest area. Now we're just skipping around everywhere. We will be doing Chapter 7 eventually, though. It's actually going to be the last main chapter that we do. So, intentional damage there, because there's a Laylee bell right there. So, misjudged my height there, tried to get a nice little hover so that I could bounce off that guy. Not the worst death, because there's literally a checkpoint right there. I choose to go back for Laylee here because these snails can be vicious. Granted, there is a Laylee bell there, but just don't want to get hit from behind. Yeah, this last section is very tight. Now, the entire floor is missing below you, and if you're going for consistent ground pound roll jump speed, and just bouncing on the enemies and the tight platforms, you know, really like that section. Alright, so there's a bunch of wind here, and we're gonna kind of abuse that so that we can glitch up into this next area. So we're gonna ground pound the switch in the wall, and it gives us wind properties for some reason. And we can float up here, and then we're gonna glitch into the next, the next overworld B. Yeah, only 2 Bs left. We got 1 level and 1 overworld B. Yeah, really like the Breath of the Wild nature of this game, where you can just go back and beat it at any time. Yeah, nice little skip there to get into the Chapter 7-ish area. Yeah, these were the interior forest areas I was talking about earlier. So, the skip to get into this overworld B is, you know, kind of finicky, so I do knock this down as a backup just in case if I fall. Spoiler alerts, we're gonna fall. Okay, you have to navigate on these, like, this moving platform here. It's moving slightly side to side, and then on these poles, and then get around onto the other pole. Fortunately fell there. But, you know, that's why we did the backup here. Alternatively, we'd have to go all the way back to Chapter 1 and start sequence breaking from there and go all the way back here. Because since we don't unlock any parts of the world map through the paywalls, we never get their fast travel locations. Right there I fell because the platform is moving back and forth slightly. You know, don't really have an excuse for that one. That was just kind of dumb. But, you know, as always, third try charm. And navigate here. And just up there like that. Another instance where you're supposed to take the secret exit, but nope. And then we're gonna navigate around the fence posts again so that we can get back into the first area instead of falling into the second part of this chapter. First area is much shorter than the second one because the second one is pretty much like a giant auto-scroller. But this one, on the other hand, has a ton of conveyor belts that can shoot us forward. Yeah, definitely gonna be rolling on those to our advantage, you know, like right here, right there, and everyone will chain more and more speed. Gotta be very careful on this to not bounce on them, as you will take damage. God, the music in this game is so good. Making the nice cycle there. And not taking damage here is very tight. So many hazards. Alrighty, and just with that, we have completed our last level, gotten our 24th B. Now we're gonna be going to the Impossible Lair. So I really enjoy 24 Bs for the Impossible Lair because you do have the limited resource of Bs that only allows you to take a certain amount of damage, but also at the same time, you're gonna be intentionally taking damage to sequence break parts of it. So in 48 Bs, you can be pretty reckless and just go through everything. I mean, casual play, it's still really difficult, and some people can't even beat it with 48 Bs. But for at least the speedrun, 24 Bs has a very, you know, it's always got that aspect of risk to it. It's like, do I want to take damage, or should I play it safe for just a little bit to preserve more Bs? So this will be broken up between fights between capital B and then intense platforming areas. Kind of look like Mario Maker levels, honestly. Yeah, so first phase, capital B, not too difficult. You just bop them on the head a bunch. Alright, so welcome to the Impossible Lair. Gonna try to skip all these platforms. You do have to ground pound there or else you will take damage. Quick maneuvering here allows you to skip this fire cycle. You roll to the right there quickly just to get the platforms moving here. Got a mini auto scroller here with the platforms, but it doesn't last a long time. And if you do fall, like if you fall into the void, it will only subtract a B. A little bit early on that ground pound. I was going for a nice strat here where you get early ground pound speed to jump and pop, and there you go. Nice little skip there. Intentional damage here. Because normally you have to bait a rocket to hitting those propeller guys. Have to wait out this fire cycle. There's no way to make it. Yeah, I love this song too. You know, it's like mechanical, but it's just like super intense. It feels like it's you against the impossible. You know, no pun intended. The 3 doors here, 2 of them are fake out rooms where they just have enemies in them and you just gotta walk across the hallway, but top right door is the door that we need. But capital B2. You can get a nice little extra damage there before he goes up, and then also get a damage here when he's on the ground. That skips a whole phase of him going up in the air. And one thing that's hard to deal with, as you can see there, you need to be not on him for his iframes to go away. So it becomes very specific timing of when to jump on him and when to avoid his attacks. Okay, going for all the double hits that we can possibly get. That was actually a really nice fight. So yeah, the current B count is covered by my live split timers. And we got 20 left. And of course, there had to be an ice area. These propeller cycles can be very tricky on your first go. I mean, they're still tricky, but and to do that without taking damage while the rope is continually pulling you up, it's pretty difficult. Yeah, these platforms that we're on will only continue to go up when you're on them. So you want to minimize as much jumping as you possibly can, because it'll actually retreat back down. You can do a nice skip here if you're crouching and you wait for this platform to reach its peak. You can skip up to this nice little platform here. Yeah, this is a section where you're supposed to jump on the enemies to boost yourself up. You know there had to be a water section. You know it. Navigating, avoiding the octopus things here. I use D-pad for all of the game, minus the water sections, because you actually get full 360-degree movement. Okay, and then it's immediately back to D-pad. Yes, these platforms can have ice on them, of course. Do a nice little skip here, go all the way. Yeah, timing on this part is always tense, you know. Sometimes you're gonna want to duck under them, and other times you're gonna want to jump over them. Yeah, this part can definitely make you anxious. Alright, so another particular cycle that you have to wait for here if you don't want to take damage. I will just blast through this if I feel like I've got a ton of bees. But it's always marathon safe to just, you know, preserve the couple of bees you would lose here, because you'd probably lose like 3. Just with the way the saw blades follow you. But alright. Round 3. Nice little quick jump there. Get him as he's going up. It skips another phase of him going all the way up. And then trying to drop on you. So we're gonna hold on to this bomb until after we bop him once. You can just get him while he's up there. Saving the bombs for when he goes up. Okay, again, just trying to navigate around his shots and the iframes. His staff also does have a hitbox that is rather large. I'm gonna go for a cycle skip here. Damage him there by sacrificing a bee and then catching him before he goes up again. That'll save another phase of him spawning all the electric balls. But alright, so this is gonna be... It's not necessarily the final. It leads you to believe this is the final platforming section of the Impossible Lair. So, since I have extra bees, I'm gonna kind of damage boost through this area. Normally you wait out that saw blade if you gotta, but I chose to just go through that. And normally I like to enter this section with 8 bees, so the fact that we have 9 is pretty dang good. So this next section coming up looks like an auto-scroller, but we're actually going to be skipping a pretty large portion of it. And once we get to the midpoint, we're just going to skip to the end. I'm also keeping specific positioning here so that I can load in the saw blades at a specific time based on where the platform in front of us is. So that I can get this cycle and ground pound jump roll through there, and we've made it. Alright, the final battle. So he's gonna spawn these spheres here, and then go to the opposite side I'm on. So I wait for him to move, and then I move over to that side to give me a little bit quicker jump on him. And also, you can make him throw the bombs on himself if you make him throw it at a wall and then it bounces and hits him. They're doing really good on the damage in this opening phase. Gonna try to catch him before he gets back up. And you have a very short window there to be able to damage him. Yeah, you can't help but bop your head to this music. Go for a double damage, very nice. Now we go into the missile phase where I'm gonna bait his missile to hit him early on so that his iframes give up and I can hit him twice in this one phase. There's one hit and two. So this final hit here is going to make him drop the hive mine. And then when we grab control of the hive mine, we're going to be able to control capital B. Grab it from the center of the stage because it makes you walk towards the center. And we just make him grind on the gears. We also keep him towards the floor so that the cutscene starts faster. And one last platforming challenge. One last challenge. This is sort of like the Halo 3 or Super Metroid ending, you know? You just gotta escape as everything's blowing up. You got a 2-minute time limit. Which I am dangerously close to a sub 1 hour run for in-game time. I've got some beasts to spare, so you just take damage whenever you want. And the mistake that cost me sub-hour, right there. Right there. Coulda had it. Coulda had it. Alright, and time for RTA is when the screen completely fades to black. Right there. Hey, I hope you guys enjoyed my submission for Yooka-Laylee the Impossible Lair. You know, thank you to you guys for reviewing it. Really appreciate it. Again, apologies for the choppy frame rate. I just realized that this happened right before the submission deadline, so this is going to be my submission. But again, just really appreciate you guys considering Yooka-Laylee. Again, the incentive that I have for this would be a Tonics showcase, where we can display a lot of the graphical modifiers and the gameplay modifiers that they have placed in the game that aren't used in the speedrun. Additionally, there is... I've thought about doing an incentive for choosing the aspect ratio, because all of the aspect ratios can be obtained pretty early on, being the cinematic one. I believe that's 5:1. I'd have to reference the numbers again, but yeah, there's the 4:3, there's the 16:9, and then you can get a sort of cinematic aspect ratio. Yeah, again, thank you guys so much for considering Yooka-Laylee. Looking forward to seeing you all at SGDQ, and yeah, thanks for watching.